Alright, so this video is going to be a little different. One, I just got out of the shower and ignore the hair, because that's just how it's going to sit throughout this video. I've come to terms with it, and so do you. Secondly, typically I'll sit through the computer, Typically I'll sit down, browse through journal articles and peer-reviewed information on the latest environmental or climate science that's occurring. But yeah, I ran dry today. So this video may or may not have any content. But I do have this. Okay, so I'm going to go through and fire some yummy information about shark facts that your brain can digest.
Like any muscle in the body, your brain needs exercise.
Exercise my brain, huh? It's so small.
Why sharks, you might be asking? Because they're awesome. Okay, because they are awesome. Alright? Don't question it. Just listen. These amazing shark facts. Alright? What I'm thinking I might do is I'll go from maybe from general to stuff that people may or may not know. So probably from like shark facts you may know to shark facts you may not know. So let's just get right into it. Alright. Question. Fact number 1. Sharks don't have bones. You heard correctly. Sharks are actually devoid of normal bones. Sharks fall under a category known as elasmobranchs. Now these types of fish have cartilaginous bones. Okay? These types of bones are typically similar to our ears and our nose. Now this bone is quite light. So a shark's entire body being made up of cartilaginous skeleton is quite a light mass. So for them to float in the water rather than just completely rise up to the surface, they need something. And this is where their large liver comes into play. Now their large liver is typically filled with low density oil, which allows them to have buoyancy. Now the common misconception that the skeleton or the cartilaginous skeleton of a shark will not fossilize is of the most part incorrect. In fact, over time a shark will incrementally add a certain mineral into their cartilaginous skeleton. So as they get older, they will deposit calcium phosphate mineral hydroxyapatite. This. Or simply calcium salts. Over time, this will allow the sharks to strengthen their cartilaginous skeleton, allowing it to fossilize. And this is why you'll see these more so in the sediments of most areas when a shark has died. Typically you'll find the teeth more than anything. Question number 2. The vertebrae tells the age of the shark. A nice little segue from the last question into this question. So you heard in the last one that incrementally a shark will deposit calcium salts into its cartilaginous skeleton. Okay, so from there, what happens is that the vertebrae will create a sort of tree ring effect in the vertebral column of the shark. So you'll have these rings over time. And this allows scientists to determine the age of certain shark species. However, Greenland sharks are the exception to this, of course, because their cartilaginous skeleton is unable to deposit the calcium salts fast enough for scientists to determine the age. What I mean by that is that the cartilage in a skeleton disappears after a while once the shark dies. It cannot fossilize. So what they'll do instead is typically use the eye tissue, or scientifically the carbon isotopes within the eye tissue. Pretty cool, right? Question number 3. You can put... Question? Why do I keep saying question?
What can I do anything right? Ah!
Fact number 3. You can put a shark to sleep. Now, disclaimer, I don't want you guys going out into the ocean and just putting some random shark you see to sleep based off of what I'm about to tell you. Not that you're going to go do that anyway. Just thought I'd put that in there because I don't know what you wild beasts are like out there, okay? You could do some crazy stuff. Anyway, number 3, put some sharks to sleep. Easiest way to do it, flip them over. You put them on their back and you will put them into a temporary state of paralysis known as tonic immobility. Now, almost every species has this. We have it. It can sometimes be fatal to us, not to the animals, to us. It's a natural state of paralysis, okay? And typically, scientists have found that this tonic immobility is more responsive in females than it is in males. So it's still up in the air really about what this type of paralysis really does in the environment. All they've narrowed it down to mainly is for mating purposes, because females are more responsive than males during these situations. Now, if you're wondering how long they stay paralyzed for, or asleep would probably be a better, or paralysis would be the correct term, asleep would be a more friendly term, is typically 15 minutes. Fact number 4. Sharks are social species. Now that might come across as a surprise, and I expect it would, but what I mean by this is when you typically hear people talking about sharks, you get the idea that they're recluse or solitary species. This just isn't the case. In fact, even the ocean's mightiest shark species, the great white shark, has been documented feeding alongside other great whites, even relaxed at times on its back while it feeds, in its most vulnerable position. This is just seen with large carcasses, say a whale carcass in the water. Multiple great whites were seen eating at the same time, especially side by side. Grey reef sharks will typically hunt in coastal shallow reefs. This will occur at night when their senses are heightened. And what's going to happen is these grey reef sharks push all of the fish species into their hiding holes. White tip reef sharks come along and they have the ability to, maneuver themselves into these holes and flush out a lot of the fish species. These fish species that don't get caught by the white tips are now caught by the grey reef sharks. Working in conjunction, these two sharks are able to eat more than their body weight in fish species at night during these feeding periods. This typically happens in large groups. What is this? Grey nurse sharks, or sand tiger sharks, or ragged tooth sharks, whatever you want to call them, are the most social of all shark species. Now, they've been denoted to be similar to gorillas, elephants, and dolphins in their social behaviors. And what happens is these grey nurse sharks find a certain shark species, might be the same shark species, typically is, but they can sometimes, push themselves into another group or another congregation of sharks and call that their family. So what they'll do, they'll find other grey nurse sharks or other species of sharks and familiarize themselves with those species, cementing a position in the group. And what they'll do is they'll stay with that group for their entire life. If you ever go diving, I might have footage, I'll have to fish it out somewhere, but if you go diving in an area that is full of grey nurse sharks, you'll see what I mean. They are typically in large groups doing their own thing. They may look terrifying, but they're more scared of you than you are of them, and understand how hard that is to believe. Now, question number 5, and probably the last one. I've got more written down, okay, but this video is probably going on for a little bit too long for those questions, so I might save them for another video. But yeah, question number 5. Sharks have great, I just said question. Fact number 5. Sharks have great eyesight. A shark's eye is thought to be similar to our own, containing a cornea, a lens, a retina, a pupil, and an iris. Now, in a human's eye, we typically have muscles that control the shape of the lens depending on the type of light that penetrates it. In a shark's eye, they have muscles that push the lens forward or backwards depending on how much light is penetrating. This gives them incredible visual acuity. That just typically means clarity of image. Now, sharks have an added bonus when it comes to their eyesight that we humans lack. It's called a tapetum lucidum, and this is a membrane that sits in the back of the eye that allows the eye to bring light back into the eye before it reflects back out. This allows them to see their prey in very clear images in murky or low light environments. This is typically why sharks hunt during dawn or dusk, the perfect period. Interestingly enough, sharks were seen utilizing street lights and house lights from coastal shores. This was seen in a documentary that I watched way back. I just remembered it, but if I cannot find it, because I can't find it for the life of me, take my word for it. But they utilized the street lights to watch the shadows of seal prey as they left and re-entered the water. What the sharks did was they memorized these movements based on the direction that the light was coming and attacked the seals just as they were re-entering the water of their most favored pathway. So it's just, I guess, a way that animals are seen to adapt to the influence that we are having on the environment, because we are having a huge influence. Alright, so that's that. That's just 5 quick facts. 5 quick facts busted into your brain, and hopefully there were some interesting topics. For me, I've got a ton more right in front of me that I would love to talk to you guys about, because shark facts are interesting, and the fact that people find them terrifying, and the fact that I want to try to get rid of that little, I guess, what's the word, misconception about sharks, is I could talk about them for days. The one thing I will say is that they are suffering greatly in the environment because of us, because of humans. In fact, 90% of all top order predators or apex predators are in decline or are disappearing. In fact, if you don't know, 100 million sharks are killed every single year just for shark fin soup. To put that into perspective, 5 to 6 people die annually. This has increased based on the fact that a lot more people are living closer to the shore, but 5 to 6 people die annually as opposed to 100 million sharks being killed for their fins. Anyway, that's the end of this video. I hope you guys liked it. Make sure you educate, don't eradicate, subscribe, tell your friends, share it around, leave a like, even hit the bell button so you get a notification, because, you know, let's grow this channel, guys. Let's expand our knowledge to the world. Let's give everyone some food for their brain. Alright, I'll see you guys next Wednesday for another video. Hopefully I find a topic. Bye.